Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. I think it's pretty safe to say, right now and for the last couple of years, we've been in what we're calling like the fighting game renaissance. Fighting games are just back, and that's a very good thing. Lots of the big current franchises are still going strong. They're still getting new support with DLC patches and all that fun stuff. We got lots of new challengers waiting in the wings. There is certainly no shortage of just new fighting games popping up all the time. Be it stuff that has like already established franchises behind it, or a very energetic indie scene with lots of interesting ideas that can kind of recontextualize what a fighting game even is to begin with. And of course, one of the really great things about the genre of fighting games is the legacy. So many major mainline fighting game franchises are over 30 years old. And now with this fighting game renaissance, a lot of the old timers, they're coming back for another swing at bat. Like the last numbered Virtua Fighter game, Virtua Fighter 5, came out over 20 years ago. And now, hey, even Virtua Fighter is back, which is absolutely fantastic. But then, okay, so we have a lot of great fighting games doing well right now. We got a whole new crop, a new generation, if you will, coming up in the very near future. And some of the greatest franchises of yesteryear are also returning. So begs the question, what about other dormant franchises? What about ones that haven't been around for a good long while, and thanks to fighting games being hot again, maybe it's time to make that return? So the other day, there was a tweet by SNK that sort of put this at the forefront of my mind. Fans know what this means, and well, yes, I do know what this means. This absolutely means Art of Fighting. And I found this very auspicious, because this was posted like mere hours after I made a video about Art of Fighting. And how Art of Fighting 3, which is a positively ancient game these days, is getting a $100,000 tournament at the end of the month. Now, as for a new Art of Fighting game, I guess we sort of knew it was gonna happen. SNK said as much to me several years ago, but it's one of those, you don't think about it till it's actually real in front of your face. Especially for me, look behind the scenes. Sometimes I get told about games early and then it don't happen. Like this Avatar fighting game, I knew about this a few years back, and then it just actually died. And then very recently, a new publisher came in, kind of swept in and saved the game. And there are fighting games that are made behind the scenes and then just don't come out that ever see the light of day. Game development is hard and weird. Basically what I'm trying to say, right? But yeah, so fighting games. What classic fighting games have a realistic chance of returning at some point? Virtua Fighter, that was the big one for years and years and years, and now that's real. And if Virtua Fighter can come back, anything can. So I guess the biggest one to talk about has to be Soul Calibur, right? Soul Calibur is going to come back. It's inevitable. It will happen. It's just a matter of when. Yes, Soul Calibur 6 had some issues, although it resolved a lot of those by the end of the game's life. The only problem is, it had some bad press out of the gate, which sort of damaged the game permanently. And unless your name is Street Fighter, like Street Fighter 5, if you do bad out of the gate, it'll haunt you for the rest of the game's life. Street Fighter just gets a pass other games don't get. But even then, Soul Calibur as a franchise is worth too much money, has made too much money. There will always be a chance to bring it back, because money's on the table. And if not now in this new fighting game renaissance, then when, really, right? And the thing is, people are hungry for it. The Virtua Fighter 6 announcement here, showing there's life in 3D fighting games besides just Tekken. People want this. Like I saw this tweet here from the Game Awards, hey, what dream premiere do you want this year, right? Everyone wants new games. But in particular, people got really heavy on this. This kind of drew out a small army's worth of people saying, Soul Calibur, Soul Calibur, Soul Calibur. And to be fair, if you're ever going to show it off, you are going to reveal it, Game Awards would be the place for it. Bandai Namco, very friendly with the Game Awards. Tekken 8 made its debut at the Game Awards. Actually, to that point, so did Soul Calibur 6. So if you're ever going to see a new Soul Calibur, Game Awards, probably the place it's going to be at. Soul Calibur 6 recently just turned 7 years old. I know, crazy, right? Was it really that long ago? It was, and getting near on 10 years, it's maybe another time to take another stab at the franchise. Once again, It's going to come back. Maybe we get an announcement this year, maybe next year, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years from now. It doesn't matter. It's inevitable. It will return. Just, at least in my opinion, better to strike while the iron's hot, right? While fighting games are really hot right now, you could get a lot of goodwill that you maybe wouldn't otherwise get. People are very, very hungry for a new Soul Calibur. You know, especially with more modern releases, you know, kind of tailored toward hardcore audiences like, say, 2XKO. Soul Calibur is like the casual fighting game. Put out a new game, new coat of paint, everything looks nice and pretty, right? You focus on what matters fundamentally for the franchise, so don't worry too much about meter stuff. No reversal edge, we already did that. Didn't work. Part of the reason Soul Calibur 6 sort of failed is because that mechanic put a knife in the game's back before it even got started. But like legitimately, just do a back to basics game as far as the gameplay goes. Lore-wise, you rebooted the franchise anyways in 6, you're free to do whatever you want. Just make sure there's crossplay, rollback netcode, and I think you're really good to go. Just make sure you get some good guest characters, because the kids love them guest characters, and guest characters is frankly part of the DNA of the Soul Calibur franchise. Just get someone popular, they can hold a weapon, you put them on the front of the box, and it'll work. Hey, I'll give you a free idea. Hey, these people are holding weapons, you can make that work. The art style, I don't know, that's your job. You figure that out, but trust me, put them in the game, put them on the box, you'll sell some copies. Here to hunt demons, right? Well, the evil nightmare something formed his own K-pop group and is using Soul Edge for something I don't know, man. Just make it work. Every time you do a guest character in Soul Calibur, it gets new people in the game. Like, as silly as it is, I think that's actually half the battle for Soul Calibur. Just get a strong enough guest. Like, we got the blueprints. You do it right, you get enough guests, you sell many, many, many millions of copies. You do that, go back to basics, quality online. That's most of the fight right there. So Soul Calibur, it's coming back, just a matter of when. Next big one to talk about, if we're talking Soul Calibur, I guess we got to talk Dead or Alive. Dead or Alive been in the news a lot lately. I wish I could say it was for better reasons. But unfortunately, Dead or Alive creator, Tomonobu Itagaki, he passed away recently, right? And with his passing, lots of people are just sort of remembering just kind of how awesome Dead or Alive is. In fact, on the note, expect a dedicated Dead or Alive video on the channel soon. And, okay, as far as like recent Dead or Alive go, hey, we went from Dead or Alive 5 last round, best game in the franchise. One of the best 3D fighting games ever made. Like, you can take a lot of like top tier 3D fighting games, I'll gladly put last round against them any day of the week. And we went from that to Dead or Alive 6, which is a fighting game of all time. Not the series' strongest entry. Kind of like Soul Calibur 6, right? Released and a little disappointing, except I would say even more so than Soul Calibur 6, because basically everything was poorly received, right? The gameplay, they just started adding meter that didn't need to be added, adding mechanics that didn't need to be added, changing core gameplay mechanics that didn't need to be changed, then overabundance of DLCs, microtransactions, like, it just sort of sucked. And that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate, you know, but with fighting games having so many entries over so many years, sometimes you're going to have winners and you're going to have losers. Like, look at Street Fighter. Street Fighter 1, not a good game. Street Fighter 2, one of the most important games of all time. Street Fighter 3, yeah, take it or leave it for me personally. Street Fighter 4, amazing. Street Fighter 5, and Street Fighter 6, hey, it's pretty cool. Not every game's always going to be a home run, but that doesn't mean you give up on the franchise, right? At bare minimum, just like Soul Calibur, there's too much money to be made not to try again. Dead or Alive is a mega franchise. People like Dead or Alive. People are interested in seeing a new game in the franchise. And ever since 6's failure, you know, it's been on ice for a while. And at least as of a few years ago, I could confirm that there has been no new Dead or Alive in active development. However, that's a few years ago. Obviously, things change. And once again, if there was a time, now is sort of that time. Fighting games are big again. There's especially a market in 3D fighting games, as a lot of people are disillusioned with Tekken 8. There's a pretty big audience to steal there. Like, if you want to be purely mercenary and cutthroat about it. Hell, you could even build some goodwill before you even announce, right? Like, say, the upcoming Virtua Fighter 6. Dead or Alive 5 had Virtua Fighter guest characters, and it's actually maybe the single best guest inclusion of all time in all of fighting game history. Like, actually. In terms of how they played and how they integrated into the core gameplay loop, right? So, maybe call in the debt. Maybe put Kasumi or Ayane in Virtua Fighter. Or if you need someone a bit more grounded because they are a little bit magic, maybe like Hitomi instead. I don't know. But, you know, get the debt paid back. We love guest characters anyways. Rebuild some awareness for the brand. It'd be a really good staging point at a minimum. I'm just here to say, like, while there is actually no signs pointing to a new Dead or Alive at the moment, it's just one of those things where it feels like you can do it and it'll work. People will buy a new DOA. Like, the franchise has been on ice long enough that any bad will from DOA 6 has sort of passed through the sands of history, and people are ready to try again. So, hey, speaking of franchises that have been on ice for a long time, franchises people are hungry for and absolutely would support if you made a new one, let's talk about Darkstalkers. So, okay, to be realistic about this, what are the realistic chances of a new Darkstalkers? Well, I'm not gonna lie to you. So, let's talk about Killer Instinct instead. So, Killer Instinct! Is there a new Killer Instinct coming? I don't think it's gonna happen anytime soon. Although, remember what I said about Avatar at the beginning of the video? I don't think it's been for a lack of trying. I've heard some stuff. I have no idea if there's a Killer Instinct currently in development at the moment. But it's my understanding they might have tried and kind of moved on from it at some point. If that is the case, I don't know for sure. I'm not telling you for sure because I actually don't know. But if that's the case, that means there is interest and something along the way just didn't pan out. It's an unfortunate reality of game development that sometimes things don't pan out the way you want it to, but hey, them's the breaks. Now, as far as it returning one day, though, I would like to think so. Microsoft could use some wins right now. I don't know if you've been following along with like Xbox in general lately, but not a lot of positive stuff going on. The fact that they could put this and be the hottest new PlayStation fighting game is actually one of the things that can help out Killer Instinct a lot, because console exclusivity, definitely a thing of the past as far as Xbox is concerned. So if you have a PlayStation and really nothing else, and I know a lot of you do, because why wouldn't you? It's a PlayStation, right? You could actually play the game if it were to ever be a thing. All I know is at some point there was interest in Killer Instinct. Maybe it didn't pan out, that I don't know about. But if there was interest along the way at some point, hey, who's to say there won't be interest again? Speaking of interest, here's one where everyone's interested. All parties are interested. It's just a matter of what form it's going to take. Another one I'm going to file under inevitable. And that is Capcom and SNK kind of butting heads again in a very official and fun way in a versus game. I'm talking about Capcom versus SNK 3, or maybe SNK versus Capcom 2. Once again, not sure the flavor it's going to take, but it's basically going to happen. And you don't even need to take my word for it. How about SNK's word? Something we covered in a video from a few months back, but when we have the official Ken collaboration in Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, like, I want to say they were subtle about it, but like, subtle's not the word. This whole thing is like as subtle as a sledgehammer to the face. Terry is talking to Ken, and he's like, what if all my guys fought all your guys? Wouldn't that be cool? Like, this is Ken's ending in Fatal Fury. Once again, like, subtlety has nothing to do with this. This is them screaming and throwing it in your face as loud as they can. This is a done deal. This is gonna happen. The only question is, how does it happen, right? That, with two different companies, that can be a little bit more difficult to suss out. But file this on under, it's happening, just wait for the announcement whenever that might be. Only thing is, if you ask me, I think SNK would make the game, not Capcom this time, but hey, we'll see when it happens. And of course, then we got to think, what about some extra long dormant franchises, right? What about something like Bloody Roar? Well, for some of these really older games, like, it'd be cool for them to return, but y'all, you got to think like the realistic, like, logistics of the situation, right? Like, who owns what? Like, who owns the Bloody Roar IP, for example? That would be Konami. And look at modern Konami. Does modern Konami make fighting games? They sure don't, and actually for a long time they didn't care about their IPs at all, to be frank. But recent Konami has been a lot better about things. The Silent Hill revival's a great idea of that. Because you have a lot of Silent Hill games that have recently come out, like Silent Hill F, the Silent Hill 2 remake. And Konami, the owner of the IP, yes, they didn't make the games though. They took the license, put it in the hands of competent developers, and then those guys sort of worked their magic. And for Bloody Roar, and realistically, like any of the really old fighting games, it's not so much look to the license holder, it's look to a competent team that can take that license from the holder, with their permission, obviously, and make something with it. And I guess at this point, this is where I'm going to advocate for, since we're bringing Silent Hill back in a big way, let's do Silent Hill the Fighter. Screw it. I'm going to make you rage quit because I hit you with my James Fogg loops. And of course, for a lot of older fighting game franchises, just because you could bring it back doesn't mean you should. Like, yeah, a lot of more classical franchises, they've been on ice for a while, sure. But, some deserve to be relegated to the dustbin of history for very good reasons. So that's some of the thoughts I have on the matter. Once again, hey, fighting games, it's hot. Let's do it. Like, let's get more fighting games going. Let's get more people into the FGC. And especially games that can appeal to the casual market, right? It's always been the hardest fight for fighting games is, how do we get the casual player in? And games like Soul Calibur and Dead or Alive, they figured that out a long time ago. And here we are where things are nice and golden again. And these are two of the games that aren't around to be seen. What's going on there? So some of the games we talked about, once again, I think is just a matter of time. Some would be really nice. And of course, is there a game you think has a realistic chance of returning from the past? Please post in the comments below. Like, is it time for the Akatsuki Blitzcomp revival? Is the next Daigo going to start in fighting games because of the brutal Paws of Fury reboot? Is this entire fighting game thing really just us twiddling our thumbs waiting for Primal Rage to come back? I think we all know the answer to that is a big fat yes. But yeah, for fighting games, things are really good right now. Really, really good. And the future keeps consistently still looking bright. Classic games are out and they keep getting great support. We got a bunch of new games on the horizon, and we probably got more we don't know about on the horizon, and hopefully at least, one or two of those are some classics from the past. So anyways, my friends, that is it for the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some fighting games.
This is the love making.